welcome to today's episode of Talk and Roll. Today we have out of Portland, Oregon, old school metalhead, uh, awesome bass player, guitar player, the lead singer of the one woman project, but you have your band members, White Crone, Lisa Mann herself. Lisa, tell us about yourself.
Hey, thanks for having me today. This is great. Well, I am a lifelong working musician. I started working in clubs when I was like 19 years old as a bass player and a singer. And I I was a huge metalhead coming up and had black hair in high school and painted like upside down crosses on my head just to freak the other kids out
Oh
and the
yeah.
teachers out. And there's not a lot of pictures of me from that era. My mom didn't take a lot of pictures for some reason. I don't know why. But yeah, I love music and wanted to work as a musician and played a few gigs in a band called Dead Conspiracy when I was a teenager. Went to a lot of shows, a lot of mosh pits. And but yeah, I wanted to be a working musician, and so I ended up in like top 40 and being a gun for hire, like one of your previous guests,
Oh yeah.
and ended up in the blues scene here in Portland, Oregon, and fell in love with blues music too. So for a living, what I do is I write and record and perform contemporary blues music. And I love it. But I never lost my love of metal. So in just the past few years, I started writing this White Crone album. Here, I'll show it off. It's right here. This is it. White
There it
Crone,
is.
the Poisoner. And yeah, I just fell back in love with metal.
It's one of them ones where I kind of went through phases. I've aged myself on this show many times. I turned 50 in June, and
Youngster.
yeah, and I
I'm a
went
little
through.
bit older than you now, dude.
It's one of the ones where I
Love
kind of
this stuff.
phased a little bit. I changed what I was listening to, and then I went right back. It was like almost immediately. I was like, "Why am I listening to this? This is not fun." I went back to listening to metal, and then I was listening to really, really hard. And then my wife was like, "You're a music snob now," and I'm like, "What?" She goes, "You got to listen to your music or nothing else." I'm like, "Okay." And then I was like, she goes, "But you still like the stuff you grew up on?" I was like, "Yeah, yeah, I still like that stuff." And then I started going back and re-listening to all the stuff I listened to back in the day, and I fell back in love with that.
Yeah.
And so I am, as my one buddy told me, he goes, my musical tastes are schizophrenic now. So
That's great, and there was a guest you had previously, was that synth pop duo? What do they
yeah,
call it? And the guy was saying something about how this younger generation now, they don't care about genres and who's this. Because I remember in high school, it was like there were the wavos, the new wave kids were over here, and then the metalhead kids and the preppies, and they listen to pop music, and oh, we don't listen to that music because these people do, and they don't really care. And nothing has to go away too. I loved how he said, these genres don't even have to go away anymore
nope.
because we live. It's not like we have to trade tapes or go to the record store. It's all available.
Oh yeah, all
Yeah,
available and we were talking about this. I was like, if you'd have told me as a teenager that any music I ever wanted to listen to
no
would
shit.
be this easy to go, there we go. I'm listening to
Yeah,
whatever I
man.
wanted to. But
I'm sticking a pencil in a cassette tape, going, God
yep.
damn it.
Oh yeah. I and my buddy just gave me crap on this one. Is
Mm,
I am a firm physical media guy. I gotta
okay.
have physical media because eventually digital can go away. They can take
That's
that away from you, and there's nothing you can do about it. And he goes, "What do you got?" I was like, I don't got like 2,000 cassettes,
hmm
probably 2,000 CDs, maybe about another 2,000 albums. and I even have reel to reel stuff like that. I've got weird stuff,
Wow, you got like
and
8 floating around.
but I think I still have some 8-track tapes, but I don't have an 8-track player.
Yeah,
So, but you know, and yes, it's a little easier just to be able to yell at my, my Alexa to tell me to listen to whatever I want to listen to. But it's so much cooler when I can walk over here, I can get a record, I can put on a record player, and I can spin it and hear it the way it was supposed to be sound. No compression, no nothing, just the way it is.
yeah.
So
Kids these days listening to shit on their phone,
I listen
you
to my
know,
shit in my
without
phone.
even a Bluetooth speaker. And so you have to mix for them now. You
Oh
have
yeah.
to mix for that now. You have to find that happy medium, you know, and I look for that. You got to make sure it sounds good on the really good system, but you got to make sure if somebody listens to it on the phone that that bass guitar, for instance, is popping out and coming through. So yeah, it's changed the way people listen to music. It's changed the way we have to produce music now. So it just
That's
is what it is.
oh yeah. Well, it's I have my setup here at the house. I go to the gym. I listen on my phone. Because you can't take a Walkman or something when there. Although one of these days I need to walk in with an actual Walkman with my cassette. Put the cassette
That'd be
in.
badass, actually. People are like, what is that?
Get up there and start running on it. What was really cool is I saw the years ago. I saw the portable, was it 45 player, and it was a
Oh yeah.
yeah. You put your 45 in there, and it closed up, and it was like a big. It looked like a big Discman, but it was for 45s. I'm like, can you imagine that? You got 2 songs, then you had to
We
put
you
a new
take
one.
it to a party. That's it. You
Yep,
take it to a party with a big pile of 45s and you listen to the same songs over and over and over.
over and over again. So, uh, you were talking about you went to blues for a while, and then came back to metal. You're still working
I'm
in
still
blues?
I'm still
Yeah,
working in blues.
blues.
I'm still working in blues. I got gigs coming up. I've got gigs locally. I've got gigs in the Midwest.
Oh,
This is Lisa Mann. When you see Lisa Mann, that's what you're that on the bill. That's what you're going to get is some blues and some R&B and soul and a little rock and roll. I sneak a little bit of like Iron Maiden bass licks in there, and nobody knows. Some people go, "I saw what you did." I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about, man. But if you see Lisa Mann on a bill, that's what it is. I'm going to France. Got a gig in France in September. It's uh, Terre de Blues near Metz, France. I got some stuff, like I said, in the Midwest and Des Moines and Minnesota. And so, you know, I still travel and do that kind of stuff. We have a family situation where I have my mother-in-law living here. And so my husband is also he's a traveling bass player, and he's off to Europe half the damn time. So we, you know, I'm not working as much as I used to, but you know, I can sit here with my DAW and create new songs. I'm working on a new White Crone album. The White Crone album was really just, I wasn't even sure if I was going to release it. I was just writing the songs because they just started coming out, you know. Actually, it was, and a lot of people are down on Ghost. I love Ghost.
I do
I
too.
heard Ghost, and when I during the Grammys, I was listening, you know, through the Grammy process,
Mhm.
and they were one of the nominees. And I remember running into the other room to my husband and going, "Listen to this, man. This is really cool. This is like it's almost like Genesis or something, but it's metal, but it's not, but it's you know, it was Cerise. And there's this Mr. Friendly guy singing that sounds like, you know, he sounds like Michael Stipe singing metal. It was like this, and it just ignited this thing in me that was like, I could do whatever the fuck I want.
Oh
It's
yeah.
okay to swear. Is that
Oh
okay?
yeah, 100%.
But
Like,
I was like, it was like this revelation. It was like, oh, you mean I can just play whatever kind of music I want at any given time? And all of a sudden, I just started hearing these songs and I started singing. I pick up my phone, I'm singing melodies into my phone. I hear something on the bass and I'm like recording it on apps on my phone. Finally, I'm like, I asked my husband because he has a DAW. It's called Samplitude. And I said, can I get a copy of your recording program so I can start recording some of this stuff? And then I bought an E-drum kit. I bought some Schecter guitars. This is one of the newer ones. This one of these, I got some 7-string guitars because I got a 6-string bass, so I had to match that. And I just I taught myself how to play guitar watching YouTube videos. I mean, there's strings. I mean, they're really small, but I finally figured out how to play them well enough to record anyway. And I was just doing it for fun and for me. And I started talking to some of my other musician friends and some of the people in the blues industry even saying, I got this metal project and should I release it? And you hear these inner voices. Well, for me, it's like I was coming up on 50 years old too. And I was thinking, well, you're too old. You can't do that. And it's like, but fuck that. I just wanted
Yeah.
to do it. And my friends were telling me, do it, just do it. So I did it and got artwork and just did what I normally do to make an album. And I just did a metal album and it got really good reviews. Underground,
Yeah.
underground scene, but it got really good reviews and I'm really proud of how it turned out. Really proud.
Oh, well, I was just listening to, was it Dreams of Tiamat, just a couple minutes before you
Oh
hopped on,
yeah. Right
and
on.
I'm a big D&D nerd, and I've played D&D forever, and I'm sitting there going, man, this is totally music that when me and my buddies we would make mixtapes.
Yeah.
So for those who don't know, mixtapes where you take an audio cassette and you put songs on it and you'd play it for parties or to your girlfriends or boyfriends or whatever. Well, we were nerds, so we made mixtapes for D&D, and that totally
Cool.
would have made the D&D mixtape back in.
That makes me feel I'm gonna cry, man. It makes me feel good. It really does. It
It would have
really
been right.
does.
Yeah, it would have been right up there with
Yeah.
some Led Zeppelin and some King Crimson. Been on there
Right
with that.
on.
So
See, the drummer is Larry London. He's a guy who's a teacher. He's a drum instructor in Salem, Oregon. So he's not too far from me. And I've known him forever. And he plays all different genres, but he's really good at metal. And then I had a guest soloist on that, a guy named Mehdi Farjami, who's in a band called Glacier from around here in the Pacific Northwest many moons ago. And we were high school buddies. So it was kind of cool to reconnect with him. So, I really just wanted to make an album that I would want to listen to when I was 16 years old.
oh
That
yeah,
was my goal. And I'm making this new one and it's gonna sound, some of the songs are a little different. There's a little more power metal. There's gonna be a a kind of a folk metal song on there. And so, but it still has these mystical storytelling qualities to
yeah,
them. So I'm kind of doing this in my spare time. It's been 4 years. It's been a long time. And right now I just have 2 singles that are about to be mixed down. And the rest of the record is still being cobbled together, but I have a really cool cover art. The cover art, you'll die when you see it, man.
is it one of
Yeah.
the ones the
Twitter
cover art
pal.
came first and then the music comes second?
Well, yeah. I mean, the album isn't even done, and I was like, I actually, I stumbled upon this guy. He's on Twitter. He goes by Misha Mono or Mono. I'm not sure how he pronounces it, but he's from Russia, and he was about to be conscripted. They were going to send his ass to the Ukrainian front line, and he might not even be with us anymore because I mean the Russians are just getting their asses wiped out over there because they're just sending anybody.
Hmm.
And he made a plea on Twitter for people to help him fund his way to get the hell out of Russia and to escape. And now he's trying to get, I'm not sure where he is now, trying to get to the EU proper. And so he was selling artwork and he started sharing his artwork. I was like, damn, this is what I want. This is what I want. So I commissioned some art for him from him.
Heck yeah.
And I figure I'm helping this dude escape a horrible fate, and I'm getting some badass metal
Absolutely.
artwork at the same time. So I'm
Hell
happy.
yeah. Well, it's neat now because I've been buying up some. I'll just randomly find. I'm doing what I used to do when I was a teenager at the record store.
Mm-hmm.
I randomly will pick a new. I'm like, okay, I'll find go on Bandcamp. I'll find a cover that catches my
Based on the artwork.
based on the artwork, and I'll listen to it. I'm like, nope, nope, nope. The artwork is the good part. The music, eh. And then I'll find one. The music's good and the artwork's good. I'm like, all right, I need to order that.
Dude, that's how there was an album I saw at For What It's Worth Records in Beaverton, Oregon. And it was like a record store head shop, and they had t-shirts and all that shit. And I saw this cool album with this red flaming skull, and it was this band I'd never heard of before. And I bought the album just for the artwork. It was Merciful Fate, Evil. I put that on, or Melissa. I put that on, and Evil comes on. I remember that moment, man. I was sitting in front of my record player, and I put this down, and I spin this, and I hear that, oh, whoa, blew my mind. And it was just based on the artwork.
Oh yeah, I used to do that. Well, what was really cool is I became friends with the manager at Record Town. Record Town was
Record
FYE
Mountain
before it was
Short Play.
FYE, but
Yeah.
he would always like about once twice a month he'd be like, go pick a cassette. He goes, I'll write it off. So I explored all this new music, and then one day he's sitting there. He goes, hey, I got to go through the back, and he goes, we have all the sampler CDs, all the like so you can try
Like
them
from
out.
the labels and stuff.
Yeah, they would send them, and they had tons of this stuff in the back, and they were going to get rid of it. And he goes, go back and grab whatever you want. And so I like come out of the back, and I got the CDs and cassettes and stuff like that, and
Yeah.
yeah, I found some garbage. Not gonna lie, there was a lot of garbage, but man, you found some bands that are just like, wow, okay. I found like Bolt Thrower that way because
Yeah.
I was a big fan of I like I said, grew up playing D&D and stuff like that. Found Warhammer, and then I saw the covers of that, pulled that, was like, okay, this is awesome. Found that, pulled that one out. You just start buying. I started snagging all these metal bands because of their art cover, and some of them were so good that I would have never picked them up if I'd listened to the music first,
Yeah.
and then you find it cassette. You're like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
It's nice because we're having a discussion about just before music being easily obtainable now because it's all at your fingertips, but you know you find it, and then sometimes like I found a band I liked, but I love the one song and now I can't find them again because they were just in my feed, and it's like I'm like scrolling back trying to find it.
Because you didn't like hit the heart or
No, I was
whatever,
literally at the
save
gym
it or
working
whatever
out, not
it
paying
is.
attention, and I went to go back, and I was like, I'll find it. I looked at it, glanced, I was like, I remember that band.
Yeah.
Can't find it now, and I'm like, oh,
Sucks.
sucks. So now I'm like always listening, waiting for that song to come back up. I had one the other day, I forgot, and I caught it. I was like, yes, that's it. Heart.
That's the one. That's why, I use Google Calendar, but I still have a paper calendar. I still need to like feel something and see it
Yep.
and have it and be able to scroll through. It's like if you have, I guess on Bandcamp, you can kind of see your library, but it's,
Mhm.
I don't know, it doesn't feel the same. Also for audio quality.
Oh yeah.
I like CDs. I'm still a fan of CDs, and I will still buy bands CDs. And I get a CD player over here, or I can play it in here, or you could just burn it, and
Hmm.
you're going to get a high quality audio
Oh yeah.
instead, you know.
Well, it's funny because I listen to CDs in my car, but every once in a while I just plug my phone in. But the sound, you can tell from CD to the phone, the sound quality is
Yeah,
so different.
yeah.
And
And cassettes too. I mean, I have this nostalgia for cassettes,
oh yeah.
but I had a cassette of Bruce Dickinson's um Balls to Picasso. And I listened to that over and over and over and over and over again. And then I got the CD later on, and I went, where's that guitar part coming from? Because it's like you couldn't even hear it.
No.
There's shit you couldn't even hear on the cassette.
Nope.
So
Nope. There's
yeah.
going back and listen to some music that I grew up on. and finding the CDs like at a garage sale because stuff was like long out of print and stuff that
Yeah.
you can't find, and you're just like, oh, cool, I found it. You put it in there, and you're like, that just
I
you're just,
don't remember this way.
I don't remember, and it's so much better. So
Yeah. Yeah. Or worse, because it's like if it was just a shitty mix, you know? Like, I
oh,
don't remember it sounding this bad, man.
oh yeah,
Mm.
I've gotten CDs
Okay.
that just sounded horrible because you know it
Yeah.
was bad quality mixing, or it was before, and then you find the
Yeah.
remastered version years later, and you're like, oh, okay, that
Yeah.
sounds good.
Yeah.
How
But
does
you, when you're used to it, it's like when they remastered Killing Is My Business. I was, I'm like, this is not right. This is not what I hear in my head when I think of this album.
well, it's because Killing Is My Business is such a dirty album. I
Yeah.
mean,
It's raw.
it's raw. It's sitting there.
What you got going on over there?
Ah, damn it! Where the hell did it go? I was just going to say I got
Hey,
that
there we go.
but Killing's My Business is right here. It's
Yeah. Oh, right on.
signed by was it Jeff Young and Dave Ellison. So
So you got some cool shit, man.
I
You
got
got some
lots of
cool
cool
stuff.
shit.
I have something that nobody else has. And I've shared it on Twitter a few times. Um, it's an Exciter album signed by Exodus and signed by Paul Bailoff. So I saw Exciter, Exodus, and some little band called Megadeth at a club here in Portland, and I loved Dan Beehler, man, and I had this Exciter album, and I brought it, but they weren't at the table, and Exodus was, and so I just put the sign it. They're like, we're gonna sign it, and they defaced it and changed Exciter to XO and scribbled all over it and stuff.
That's
So I have something nobody else has.
an Exciter album signed
Signed
by
by
X.
the wrong band.
Well, it's pretty cool because I've done kind of something similar to that years
Yeah.
ago. I'm a fan of the comic book Lucifer. Ended up being the TV series.
Oh yeah, I'm a fan of the TV show,
Oh, well,
but that's because you know that guy look
Tom
good with
Ellis is a
that.
good
But
looking
anyway,
man.
he is a good-looking
He's a
man.
good looking man. I'm man enough to admit that is a good looking
That
man.
is a good-looking man.
And there's a whole lot of eye candy on that show, no matter
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
what your taste is.
yeah.
Matter of fact, I own a screen worn prop from Lucifer.
No shit.
It's from the zombie wedding episode. It's just an extra wearing it, but I own it. It's framed up, and I have it at my shop.
Cool, right on.
But I went to a convention, and Mike Carey was the writer on the Lucifer comic.
Yeah.
And I hand him a stack of comics. He signed them, signed them, signed them, signed them. He's like, "Oh man, I didn't write these." He goes, "That's my book, anyways." And he kept signing everything. He's like, "Whatever." He goes, "If I didn't write it to this point, they wouldn't write it at this point. So I am signing."
I'm signing it. I'm responsible ultimately. So
Yeah,
come on.
he signed, I
That's
don't know, like
great.
30 books, even though like 10 of them were ones that he didn't do the
That's
writing.
great.
He's like, "Whatever, Mike Carey."
Yeah.
Uh,
Awesome.
so I have to ask, how did you get Vinnie Appice to be on your Stargazer cover?
Yeah, he's on the White Crone album too. So
Yeah.
this is actually, I didn't originally hire him for that. I originally hired him in 2016 on a blues album. So I have a blues album. Let me see if I have. Yep, here it is. It's called Hard Times, Bad Decisions. Lisa Mann, Hard Times, Bad Decisions. I wrote a song that's kind of like it's kind of like a working song, like men working on the railroad.
Hmm.
So it's like check, boom, check, boom, check. It's really slow tempo. And I wanted some steel guitar on there, and I got a friend, Ben Rice, who played really great resonator guitar on there. but I really heard Vinnie Appice in my head because that's like my favorite between him and like Dave Lombardo, like my favorite drummers on the planet. And I just kept hearing his boom chuck and that drag. He does this snare drag that I love. And I was like, boy, it'd be really great, if I could have Vinnie Appice on this album. Maybe I could have so and so, one of my local drummers try to emulate him. And I just said, well, what if I just try to get Vinnie Appice on there? So I cold called him. I just looked on the internet until I found an email to message him. And I said, I've got this song. It's like a blues rock song. It's like 60 beats per minute. I really hear your drumming on this song. Here's another song that's similar that I did before called This Bitch. It has kind of a similar slow tempo. And he said, yes. He said, talk to my manager, set up the deal, and he just did it remotely. So I've never even met Vinnie Appice in person. We've just chatted back and forth during this process, and he's a hilarious guy. He's a really funny guy, and he did that track, and then I did this. I was doing White Crone. I was like, well, maybe I can get him to come back, and I wrote another song that had that heavy. It's like only like him and John Bonham could do it, and John Bonham is definitely not
No, he's
available.
not doing it.
So I contacted him again, and then Stargazer came around. So this will be there's another song that's coming on the next album that is another track that he laid down for me that I never released. So this will be track number 4 that I've worked with Vinnie. But really, it was just cold called. And the bottom line, especially during the pandemic, like who's that fretless bass monster? What's that dude's name? Oh, the dude. Oh God, why can't I remember his name? Anyway, he's like, don't be afraid to contact us, musicians that you might remember from these really huge arena bands and stuff. Tony Franklin. He was like, don't be afraid to ask us to do session work because we really need the work right now. Tours got canceled. A lot of people lost a lot of money. I know I lost a lot of money. I had like almost 90 gigs get canceled in the course of just a few weeks.
Wow.
So everybody was hungry. And, that's why I tell other musicians that are, on smaller level or medium level or different genre or something, if there's a famous hero musician that that you hear in your head and you want them to play, just ask them. The worst they could say is no.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, even me reaching out to people for interviews, I thought there's bands I reached out to. I'm like, they're never going to say yes. And then I get,
Yeah.
we'll just figure out a time. I'm like, what? Okay. Then the best one, I like the synthwave band. I mean, wearing a shirt right now, Health.
Yeah.
I've been trying to get a hold of the lead guy from Health, and Johnny, and we kept going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And he goes, okay, he goes, I can get you Thursday. How's your Thursday? And I'm like, dude, Thursday's trick or treat for my kids. This is at Halloween time.
Oh.
And he goes, I can get you at 8 o'clock Thursday. And I'm like, okay. So I'm like, literally,
Doing the math.
I'm figuring it up. I take my kid out, I get
Mm-hmm.
him all worn out, and then I haul ass back here. I'm in a full costume because when I take my kid trick or treating, I dress up. So I'm trying to get out. I have a Spider-Man costume, and that thing is not easy to get out of.
No.
So I'm literally like, I'm like, I even text him. I'm like, I might be in a Spider-Man costume interviewing. I would have pulled the mask off, still had the full.
Dude, that would have been perfect though.
But I got home, got changed, got down the steps, got my street clothes on. Then we did the interview. That was how fast it was. And it was like, he said, yes,
That's
I've reached
great.
out to some other bands. One of the bands I loved in high school was White Trash.
Yeah.
You remember them?
I don't know them, no.
White
I know
Trash
the name.
did
I don't know the music.
Apple Pie. They did a song called Apple Pie. They and the Crawl were their two big ones. Um, they were a weird mix of metal, different genres of metal, a
Mhm.
little bit of ska in there, and like
Okay,
classic rock. Look them up. They're
I will.
give me one second.
Right on. You got a record, guaranteed.
I don't have the record. I do have the
Doo-doo-doo-doo-doo-doo-doo.
CD right there.
White trash.
White
Okay.
trash. And
Where are they out of?
New York area.
Okay.
But I reached out to the lead singer and I was like, oh, he's never going to say yes. And he's like, yeah, when do you want to do this? I'm like,
It's great.
cool. And it went great. And it was funny because I also
Great.
got crap for doing the interview because people go, this guy needs to know what he's. I'm like, every time I went to ask a question, he already answered the question before I ever got to ask it. So it was one of those.
Yeah.
So I'm just
Well,
like,
some of us are talkative.
oh,
Sometimes I
yeah,
just blah, blah, blah. You need to tell me to shut the hell up.
no, no, God, I love the stories. Keep going.
Yeah,
It's
I really appreciate you asking me. I really do, man. I really do. Especially like it was I've been doing this blues thing for a while. I've won some blues music awards for my bass playing.
mhm,
I've done some traveling worldwide. I'm not a big blues artist, but I'm doing all right. I make a living doing it.
yeah,
And when I made The Poisoner, I thought, okay, well, I made an album. I made another album. It's a metal album. And so, I've self-released on my own label, but I was like, well, now I'm going to hire a PR agency. And I contacted these PR agencies and they didn't want my money. So, because in blues, it's like there's these big PR agents. You go, well, which one am I going to work with? And you just approach them and they go, okay. And then you just promote your album, right?
yeah.
And then you get on the radio and then you get on Sirius XM radio. Isn't
Oh,
that
yeah.
how it works? And it's like, no, nobody knows who the hell you are in the metal scene. Nobody cares. There's a million metal artists out there starving. And then, for people like you to just say, hey, will you be on my podcast? Yes, thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it.
You know what? And this is why we did this show. As we had Hawk especially, he had a lot of people reaching out to him wanting to talk about their new stuff. Well, Hawk is it's funny because he's the younger of the two of us. He's like my kid's age. But he's set kind of he likes his old school metal. You
That's
know,
cool.
but he does like Volbeat, but he's a Metallica. He likes Pantera. You know, he's. But I'm the guy I'm older. You think it would be the other way around. The old guy would be set in his ways, and I'm the one who's more open to music.
That's really
And,
funny.
I'm always trying new music. I'm always checking stuff out because I don't want to get stagnant. I'm always growing. I'm always moving forward and stuff like that. And he's phenomenal at his like metal history. I
Oh,
mean,
that's cool.
and it's funny. I lived it, and he knows more about it than I do.
Yeah.
And because he like we talk about dumb stuff. We talk off camera and stuff like that. We text and stuff, and I've been to so many huge shows. I've seen so many farewell. My ongoing joke is that I saw Ozzy on his farewell tour in
Yeah.
1992.
Yeah, me too.
The No More Tours tour in 1992.
Yeah.
Um, I got to take my son Joe to see Slayer on their farewell tour,
Right on.
and now they're back, kinda, I guess.
Yeah, the Who did that too.
Yeah,
They're
the
like,
Who, the
"Oh, we're
Stones.
done. We'll never." The Stones, and it's like,
I
I don't
what the
believe any of y'all. Kiss had their farewell tour in the '90s.
mm, I think the only band that had a farewell tour and has stuck with it is Zeppelin.
Yeah.
And literally, I just read an article, 'cause, Jason thought that we're gonna do a show or 2 again, and he went up to Robert. Robert's like, "No." He goes, I can't do shows anymore." He goes, and he's like, "Well, you're still touring." He goes, "No, no." He goes, "I can't do Zeppelin anymore." He goes, "That was me and your dad." He goes, "You
Mm.
know Zeppelin better than any of us at this point." He goes, "You go do your Zepp again, do Jason, whatever. That's fine." He goes, "No." He goes, "But when your dad died," he goes, "my love for Zeppelin died."
Oh,
And
God,
you're just like,
heartbreaking, man.
because that was his best friend from high school. So,
Wow.
I can see it. I mean, I
Yeah.
could definitely see it, but it's one of the ones you're just like, "Damn." I would I always joke around because I live in Ohio and I hate going to Cleveland. But I've told my kid, I was like, if they did like Page Plant again or something like that, I would go to Cleveland to
Cleveland.
go see them, even though I hate going to Cleveland.
I won't tell anybody in Cleveland, don't worry.
If they've ever watched any of my shows, they
They'll know.
I also told my son I would take him for one reason. He's a big Nine Inch Nails fan, and I told him I would
Oh,
take him
shoot.
to see Nine Inch Nails in Cleveland if he ever got the chance.
Right on.
And it's really cool. My son Joe, um, that kid loves music. I mean, he's not a kid; he's an adult man now, but he will sit down and he'll listen and be like, "Oh, this is where they got their music from." Because he knows exactly who,
Wow.
and and I'm like,
You schooled him. You taught him.
well, he schooled himself.
That's like, really?
And yeah, he grew up with music that I listened to, but he really didn't get into it right away. But
Yeah.
now every time I go see Health, he goes with me. Every time he's gone to Clutch with us a couple times,
Hmm.
and he's now discovering going to concerts and enjoying it because he has social anxiety, so he was like always like, I don't want to be in a crowd. I don't want to be in a crowd. I'm like, dude, I hate crowds, but I love concerts.
Yeah. It's easier. It's
Yeah.
almost like you're alone in a crowd when you're at a concert because the focus is on the band in front
Yep.
of you. Everybody's focused on the same thing and not on the guy next to him.
Oh yeah.
Unless they're blabbing,
We get to the last show I went to, and literally I get up there and these people like just the ugliest people just making out, and they will like they're shifting, and it's like, oh, just gross, go,
just
go,
go over here, please. Yeah.
and you're like,
Go to the bathroom and do
that's
that.
you're gross, man. At least be attractive and do that. Come on.
Oh, people need love. Everybody needs love.
Oh yeah, everybody's got to have fun, and it's well, it's really cool because now mm, it's I got to the point when I was younger, I hated traveling more than like 2 hours to go to a concert.
Yeah.
And it's bad because now the older I get, the more like I gave up because there's some bands that I know I'll never see locally.
Yeah.
So I go to Detroit. I've gone to Indiana. I've gone to down to Kentucky. I've gone to, my wife, big Stevie Nicks fan.
Oh,
And
yeah.
for last year, I got to take her to go see Stevie Nicks.
Cool.
And yeah, we could have went to the one in Columbus with Billy Joel, but I was like, Billy Joel, I don't really care. But I was like, all right, we're going to drive 3 hours to Louisville, Kentucky to go to a place I've never been before, and we're going to go
Mhm.
see Stevie Nicks. And she was so happy, and
Yeah.
everybody's like, "You won Good Husband Award there." I'm like, I hope so,
Yeah.
because that shit was not cheap.
But that's the thing about living on the West Coast
I bet.
is that especially like touring, uh, like the first, place outside is like Boise from here. There's Seattle, and that's a few hours drive. Boise is like 6 hours away. Phoenix, the Bay Area, everything is just really far away, and I just drove like 2 hours yesterday to get to my own gig. So we're just used to driving really long distances. And
Yeah.
actually I did a tour in England with a friend of mine, and he it really was eye-opening because he was driving too. And it was really eye-opening because it's like this guy doesn't really have the same sense of distance that I do, because we had a gig. He's in Kent, which is like at the south. We had a gig in Edinburgh, and he's like, "Oh, we're fine on time." I'm like, "Dude, we need to leave like right now." And he's like, "No, we'll be fine." We barely made it to that gig because he doesn't do that all the time. It's like a 6 hour drive. We do that shit all the time. And, not that we really enjoy doing that, but, you get van psychosis after a while. Hey,
Oh yeah.
it's funny because the guys in my band, my blues trio, Jason and Dave, hello, Jason and Dave. they love metal too. And they came up listening to metal too. So it's funny, we're driving away, on our way to a blues gig, and we've got like Avatar cranking, King Diamond, Judas Priest, Maiden.
There you go. You
Mm,
got to be open to new music. I went to a blues bar, God, years upon years ago, and I make fun of it to this day. Great music. There's literally like three old black guys and this one young white guy.
yeah.
And the white guy's on guitar. He's just smiling and playing guitar.
Yeah.
And I'm just looking and go, he don't belong. What is he smiling for?
He's smiling because he got to play with those old black guys.
Yeah.
Hey, I got to see one of those young white dudes. There was a guy in the 80s, his name's Tinsley Ellis, and he got signed to Alligator Records, which is the big blues label, in the 80s when there was like a blues revival. And some of these guys were like, it's like Son House was like pumping gas or something somewhere. These guys that were like legendary musicians, they'd fallen out of favor. And so there was like this revival. And then there's these young guys that were like record store hounds, and they were into, BB King
Hmm.
and Son House and people like that. And he ended up playing with a lot of these people. Another friend of mine, Michael Osborne, he was one of those young white dudes that ended up playing with John Lee Hooker for like 15 years, man. So, and now these guys, like this guy Tinsley, I saw him play acoustic, just an acoustic set, and it was like straight up authentic blues. You would think this was some old black dude sitting on a porch in the Delta playing this music for you. So, bless those young white dudes that got
But
in there, and the young white girls too.
it was so funny because man, them guys are up there and they're up there playing, their eyes closed, and they're
Yeah.
just and this is like
And he's like, I can't
I'm
believe
playing, look
these guys want to play with
at this. But he
me.
was so good though. But man, they
That's
killed it.
cool. That's cool.
They were killing it. But yeah, like I said, it was so weird. I'm like,
One of these things is
it's
not
not
like
like
the
the other. These things are totally different.
other.
It, that's one of the good things about when I used to travel a lot for comic book conventions and stuff like that. We'd end up in these towns. We'd go to these clubs and see bands that we'd, local. They were local to there. We'd
Yeah,
never seen them before. Um, saw some great blues down in New Orleans. Uh,
yeah,
saw some great music in Baltimore, Virginia, just all over. And you just,
yeah. That's the thing, and it's like Portland.
mhm,
There's Portland is a town where it's like there's these musicians that you've never even heard of, blues, rock, otherwise, uh, that are just killing it, man. They're just like the best musicians you ever heard, and they're playing in just some little dive bar, and you
mhm.
can go any night of the week and see some amazing musician just playing
See,
some little gig in a bar.
that's our goal for this summer is we're going to go down to Tennessee and go up and down the one row with the girl we were talking about.
Oh yeah, Nashville.
Yeah, down Nashville
Yeah,
because they're like
or Broadway.
yep, Broadway. Go up and down Broadway and listen to all the music because it's just
Yeah,
24 hours a day, 7 days a week,
yep,
music pretty much. And you're just like, that would be awesome. Just go down there and oh, we're gonna go here,
yeah,
have some food, listen to some music, go to the next place, have some food, listen to music,
yeah.
get fat. Uh,
Hopefully it's not like $5 waters like it is down there in New Orleans. It's
oh
like,
man.
what?
Yeah, New Orleans. I love New Orleans, but yeah, it's expensive there. It
Oh
is a
yeah,
little pricey. We went to Spirits on Bourbon, and this they had a guy up there playing piano, and he's playing. He goes, he it was slow. It was like a Wednesday afternoon. So there's only like 8 people in the bar,
yeah,
and he's just up there just kind of playing and asking for tips. I walk up there and I went, you play Superstitious by Stevie Wonder? And he goes, yes, I can. He put that tip in there and he just started playing
yeah.
away. And I was like, damn, that's great.
He knows everything.
Oh, he did.
That's what I did. I played top 40 forever. And so I just learned a million songs. And then I was in Seattle. I lived in Seattle for a while, and I was in a top 40 hard rock band. And so we did whatever was was on the radio at the time. It was kind of like we had to play, well, we played a lot of grunge because that's what was happening. And we did some Soundgarden, Alice in Chains and stuff like that. But we just did whatever the hell we wanted to too. We threw, you know, we did Heaven and Hell, and we played some Metallica and just kind of whatever we wanted to play. But when you have to learn a million songs and people are asking you for songs, then you just learn a lot about music doing that.
Oh yeah.
You learn a lot how songs are put together, no matter what style they are, you know. So it's just, you know, that's why we kind of get back around to that whole, you know, listening to lots of different genres and not being afraid to listen to other genres or to play other genres. Because like I've got people in the blues scene that are telling me they say things like, well, Lisa's not doing blues anymore. It's like, what are you talking about? I got a gig that, you know, I've got a live from Basel, Switzerland CD coming up, you know, we're working on. So with Terry O'Dobby, she's a great soul blues singer. So, you know, I didn't stop doing that. Why do you assume
Oh
because
yeah.
I'm doing a different genre that I stopped doing the other thing? It's like you know, shit, I still listen to soul music. I still listen to and funk. I was just listening to some Level 42 the other day. You know, I love that stuff, man.
So
That bass.
do you have a favorite song that you cover? That you
Favorite
play it
song.
when you're talking about like when you're doing top 40s and all that stuff.
Yeah,
Do you have one song that you just played every time that
every
you just
time.
loved?
Well, I don't know if well, I will say because I play a lot of clubs, I
Hmm.
don't do just original music. Like if I'm playing a festival, I might throw a Jimmy Reed cover in or something. I might throw in one cover, but I usually just play original Lisa Mann music.
Okay.
But I play a lot of clubs, and you got to fill 3 hours, man. I'm gonna mix it up,
Yeah.
and there's a lot of blues songs. Now I learned Something to Talk About by Bonnie Raitt.
Great. Yep.
I probably learned it wrong, and I changed up the feel a bit and stuff. But I've been playing that song since it came out, pretty much in top 40 bands and in blues bands because it crosses over. You know what I'm
Yeah, that was
saying?
a big crossover hit back
Big crossover hit for blues and rock
then.
and
Hmm.
pop. And I never get sick of that song. And people never get sick of that song. And people ask me to play Bonnie Raitt all the time. So that I just last night I had a gig in Hood River, Oregon. Somebody asked me to play Bonnie Raitt, and I'm like, okay, there you go. Something to talk about.
There you go.
Yeah.
You know, it's always cool when you can. It's like I said, when you are open to different types of music, your music's not going to get stagnant. Because if you know, because you're doing both, you know, blues and metal, but you still have a background in top 40, you have a background and, you know, and it's always an evolution, always an evolution. And I think that unfortunately, I think a lot of bands just get that comfort zone and they never step out of it. And I think some of them it kills them, you know, because everyone's like, all your music sounds exactly the same. All your music sounds the same. Then you get like AC/DC, all their music sounds the same, but they're still AC/DC, so they're still,
Disappointment is like Iron Maiden, you
yeah,
know, you get the same for chord progression. I don't care. It's Iron Maiden.
Maiden, yeah, 100%. So, I gotta ask you right now, what's in your CD player?
What's in my CD player? Oh, what's in there right now? What was I? Because I've been listening. I hate to say it. I've been listening to stuff on the interwebs.
On the interwebs.
Let's see. Let's see. What was I? What was
What was the
I?
last thing you were listening to?
What was I spinning?
See,
Okay, let's see. Flotsam,
Watson.
Flotsam and Jetsam. Because
Oh,
I sing with a band called Splintered Throne,
okay.
and so that's another. We're working on a new album too. We came out with an album called Greater Good of Man. You're gonna love this story, man. I was a fan of this band. It's a local band, Splintered Throne. and I was a fan of Flotsam and Jetsam. I went to see Flotsam. This is a few years back, and I was in the front row, and this band, Splintered Throne, opened. And I went, oh, cool, they're here. I love these guys, and I'm singing along with the songs and digging it. And then halfway through the show, the lead singer announces that he's leaving the band. And I love this singer. And I was like, oh, that sucks, man. He's leaving the band. And my friend is next to me, and she goes, no, no, this is good. Go talk to him. You need to be their new lead singer. I was like, what? No way. She said, yeah, you need to be in this band. And I talked to them on the break after their set. And sure enough, I set up an audition, and now I'm the lead singer of Splintered Throne. We have an album out called The Greater Good of Man, and we're working on another album. They're a great bunch of guys. We just did a gig up in the Seattle area, and we just opened for Flotsam. So it came full circle. Now I'm the one that's on the stage with the band opening for Flotsam and Jetsam.
So
it was so cool.
how do you have time to do anything?
Well, I don't have a day job. Music
Well,
is my job.
there you go.
How do
But
I have time? Is like with the family stuff. That's tough. That takes up a lot of my time. But music is all I'm just really blessed that I'm able to do all this stuff because music is all I do for a living.
nice.
So, I don't
That's
have a
cool.
9 to 5 to worry about.
Cool.
And these other guys in Splinter Throne, they do, and they make the time to write songs and to get together and rehearse. We're getting together this weekend to rehearse, and then I'm off to a blues gig. And but yeah, the last thing that was in there was let me see which album it was. End of Chaos.
Ah,
That is a great album. And here's the thing, I got to meet those guys too. They've got Ken Mary in the band playing drums with them now, and he played with Alice Cooper for a long time. This guy, he's like a legend. He played with Chastain. He had his own band in the Seattle area called Fifth Angel. And so I got to meet, Gilbert, the guitar player, got to hang out with the singer a little bit, Eric. And I think they're at the top of their game. And it's just crazy because a lot of people kind of wrote them off in a way because Jason Newsted left to be Metallica, and they're like, well, he was their songwriter. It's like, have you heard their songs lately, man? They're crushing. They're absolutely, those last 2 albums, just they are at the pinnacle of their career. And so they don't do so well here. We didn't have a huge crowd here, but they go to Europe and they play these massive festivals. And Europe, man, they really appreciate it. It's tough. Metal scene here in America is tough.
well,
And in Europe, they totally appreciate metal.
well, we've done some interviews with some bands overseas, and it's finding out that one is they don't get all the fees that we get on tickets. So when you get a $30 ticket in Europe, it's a $30 ticket.
Yeah.
You get a $30 ticket here in America, it's $55. It's
You're lucky to get.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So people get over there, they're not pricing them to death to get them to go to shows, so people can afford to go to shows more often.
Yeah.
And so people are and then everybody's, well, Europe's, I'm like, technically we talked, and they're like, you can be anywhere in like a very short amount of time in Europe, like a very short amount of time.
You can take a train too.
Yeah.
Can't do that around here.
No, which is beyond me why that's not a thing here in the United States, because it's freaking perfect, but it's too convenient. It's too
apparently so.
Yeah, it will make things easy. Well, that's because
you don't want that.
No, it's because
it might not burn enough gas. That's why.
Because they won't make as much money selling gas as they do, as I'm all old school when I drive I'm literally driving my 1985 Crown Vic today. It gets 3 miles to the gallon.
Dang, that's a hoopty.
Oh, it's a 2-door 85 Crown Vic, and I drive that thing, and it's a beast, man. It'll take
like grab that door like.
Oh, as like when you My door weighs more than most people's cars.
Yep.
We have the ongoing joke that the Crown Vic it's a tank. I was like, so anybody
Yeah.
pulls out in front of me, we're like, we're just gonna drive
Mm.
through that car, you know it,
And
right?
and
Just
hopefully they don't think you're a cop though, too.
definitely not a cop. That car, it looked like a cop in a 1980s action movie.
Exactly. It's like, wait a minute. Am I seeing things?
I need the light,
Yeah.
like slap it on the roof and drive.
Yep.
But
Yep.
oh man, but no,
And it's harder to tour when things are
oh
when you
yeah.
don't have.
Well, it's so funny. I was talking with one band and they had to bail in the middle of a tour because they weren't making enough money to pay for gas.
Yeah.
And I'm
Oh,
like,
yeah. I met some dudes at this festival in Linwood, Washington. It was a pretty cool place called Club Hectic, and they had a good sound, good stage, good lights and everything. They had a all-day festival, and I met these two young dudes and their dad. And the dad is the bass player, and they're sleeping in their van.
mm-hmm.
They're on tour. They tour all across America, and they make it work because they got it set up so they can just hang out and sleep in their van, and I don't know, go to a health club and take a shower. I don't know what they do, but
Oh yeah.
it's hard to make it. And there's support for the arts over there too. I mean, shit, I like Dimmu Borgir.
Mm-hmm.
I love symphonic, like when they did that whole symphonic thing. I think they did it at Vaken, and then they did another one, I think in Norway, and they get like support from the art, like the arts councils, like
Yeah,
these
yeah.
satanic bands. Like the king will come to your show, and there's public funding available for metal festivals and shit. It's
Yeah.
like, what?
Well, I saw
Unheard of here.
I
Unheard
see
of.
I see Doomy Gear here in the United States in a tiny club.
You did.
But yeah, I saw him in like two 2004,
Wow. Yeah.
maybe?
I'm about to go see Septic Flesh.
Nice.
Yeah, but they're not going to have a symphony with them, I'll tell you that much.
Nope. Nope. These guys went in, played a tiny ass club
Yeah.
in up by Cleveland. Um,
You were forced to go.
I was forced to go. Literally, a guy I used to hang out with, I worked with. He hated to drive, and he hated going to concerts by himself.
Mm,
So he would pay for my tickets, my food. We'd drive his car.
yeah.
He'd pay for gas just so that he didn't have to go to a concert by himself and he didn't have to drive.
Yep.
And I
That's my
took
friend Lisa's kind of the same way. I
best
got
date I ever had.
another friend, Lisa, and we go to concerts. Sometimes we go out of our way. We will make little girl vacations. Like we went to San Antonio to see Rammstein
Ah, cool.
play at that huge, I forget the name of the arena. It's fucking like 120,000 people arena. I've never been in a place. They had pyro so huge, it was in the middle of the room. Their crew was so huge, they had porta potties in the crew pit. They had porta potties set up in the middle of the damn arena for the crew. It was insane. Now it's like, now we heard, there was before I heard this news about like, is this lead singer like beating up drunk girls in his dressing room or something? I don't know.
That's
I don't know.
yeah, gotta hate that. Bands
I
I
hate
love.
it. It's like I really like this band. It's
Yep.
like I've been liking, I don't know, I've heard some other people say that they're metalheads, and I'm into the classic stuff, but I started getting to more extreme metal
Hmm.
in my 40s.
Yep.
Is
I,
that
I did.
you?
I did in my late 30s into my
Yeah.
40s. Yeah.
And it's like, that's weird. It's like I would never listen to go, why, whatever. And now I'm like, Car Bomb is the best band in the world now. And then I heard Death Spell Omega, they're so amazing. And then like, that lead singer's a Nazi. I'm like, no, no,
Oh,
don't
oh
take
yeah.
this from me.
Well, that's like a band I used to love when I was a kid was Malevolent Creation, and
Oh yeah.
then you find out they're like, oh, wow, the lead singer's a racist. Mm,
Yeah, it's like, bye, sorry. And some of these guys, they come from these sketchy scenes, and like that new Ison album. fucking amazing. It's amazing. And he's from that kind of scene, but he's not like that, you know? And sometimes I'm always like, people can change.
Mm-hmm.
People can't change. The lead singer of Behemoth,
Mm-hmm.
you know, has done some sketchy stuff in the past. But, you know, then I saw that he's like, when they, you know, I don't know how you feel about it, but when Poland banned abortion, he was out there like with a bunch of women protesting,
Yep.
like with a pink hat, like a sign, no, women's rights, women's rights. And I'm like, what? Okay. You know, so people, you know, people can change, and I will allow for that.
You
But
always
some of
give them a
these
chance to
people, it's
better
like
themselves. It's when they refuse to better themselves, you're just
when
like,
they
all right,
refuse to better
move
themselves.
on. I've
You
seen
know,
Behemoth live. I saw them open for
I
Slayer.
love
So
them. I think they're amazing. I
phenomenal.
think they're amazing musicians. And I think Darsky he's an interesting dude. I've kind of followed him a bit. And as a person, I can see, you know, he's changing. He's become a family man. He's like a yoga enthusiast. He really appreciates blues music. And he appreciates, you know, he said out loud, you know, this is Black American music, and he appreciates where it came from, has a respect for African Americans who created blues, because he does that mean that man. So, you know, I
Yeah.
don't know. There's a big debate going on right now about, there was some podcast is like, screw, you know, that black metal shop,
Hmm.
the record store that burned down in Oslo, and people are raising funds to build it back up
Yeah.
again. So I'm sure there's a scene there with some people that are just into the music and into the art, and they've got collectibles and artwork and, you know, like signed
Oh yeah.
Venom demos or whatever there. And that's sad. But it's also, it's like, that's where like Varg was like getting drunk and hanging out. And if that's why you think that place is cool, then, you know, I'm not losing sleep over that fight.
Oh, 100%. I grew up and I remember, you know, because I was the heavy metal, D&D, comic book, horror movie loving kid, and
They
everybody's like,
point
"Oh, you're a devil worshiper, right?" And I'm like,
they pointed the finger at you.
"Mhm. You're a devil
Oh,
worshiper. You wear black all the time." I'm like, "Yeah, because I like the color black. I literally have 200 T-shirts,
evil.
and I probably have 5 that aren't black."
Yeah,
It's
me too. But you're
and,
evil.
and I'm like, I grew up and it was funny because you know, you're a Satanist, you're this. I'm like, I'm not. I like that music. I like the aesthetic. I
Yeah.
like the artwork. I like the stuff, but it's like it's not me. I'm not a devil worshiper. I don't believe in the devil. Um and so
Most so-called devil worshippers don't anyway.
yeah.
They're
And
just
it's
trolling.
100%. And I dealt with that. And you know, there's so many bands that you know had that satanic image and they're like, "Oh, it's just the image. It's just a band. It's
Mhm. Or
we're
maybe it
performing."
is their philosophy. Maybe it's like King Diamond.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
That's
And
fine.
yep. And then you hear about all the good stuff that King Diamond does, and then you're just like,
Yeah.
people are like, "Yeah, well,
Yeah.
shit, yeah." I
I try not to point the finger too hard. I mean, I will. You know, I get on Twitter and I'm still on Shitter. I'm still on there and I argue with people, but it's a cool place to, it's really cool. You know, metal Twitter. It's a really cool place to just meet people. And that's how I connected with you.
heck yeah.
And, you know, I've become fans of bands, and other people have become fans of my music.
Oh yeah.
And we just argue about stuff. Like there's a big argument going on today. And it's like, we don't have to cancel each other and like,
Nope.
you know, block each other. You know, let's just, it's some of these things, it's like some hills aren't worth dying on.
Oh, I made a horrible mistake the other day, and I didn't mean nothing by it.
Yeah.
I said, "Okay, Pantera, we got the current incarnation of Pantera out there touring. They're not doing
Mhm.
new music, they're just doing the old stuff. I think that Phil and Rex are just they're as much Pantera as Dimebag and Vinny. Be after a certain point. If they start doing that early stuff when it was just you know that's different. If they're doing the stuff Cowboys from Hell on when it was
Yeah.
them in the band too, I think they deserve that right too. But I also said, I was like, Dimebag was a great guitar player and Vinnie was a good drummer. And I said great and good.
Yeah.
And people got mad at me because I'm like, well, he was a good drummer. He wasn't the
But you
greatest
didn't
drummer.
say he was the best drummer on the planet.
Yeah, I didn't say he was, great. I said he was good.
This
And
is
I'm like,
Lars territory where people are like, no, he's the best. No, he's terrible. No, it's like,
Lars is,
can't somebody just be a good drummer?
yeah, Lars for me was good when he was younger. He's adequate now.
He's
Go
got
ahead.
massage therapists like holding him together.
Yeah,
Oh,
dude.
doctors following him. Most of these bands, man, they can't keep these drummers going. It's like when there's a band like Saxon or Iron Maiden and they still have the same drummer, it's like, holy shit, what is this guy doing? What kind of like Dick Clark pill is this guy taking to keep him young, man?
Well, so many of them have you always hear about the drummers are the ones that are always at the gym. They're the ones
Yeah,
always working out. They're the ones that are on like the fitness regiments. They're doing that
yeah.
because you can't. I've I watch my kid over here playing drums, and I'm like, I'm glad I played bass because
It's physical. It's
oh,
very physical, and you can hurt yourself. And
oh
these
yeah.
people, I mean, Peter Chris, man, he couldn't do it anymore. And he had
Mhm,
these big braces on his arms when they did that reunion tour, and
mhm.
he just couldn't do it.
Well, this
His
goes
body
to
just said, nope, done.
the I know this is bad. The band the Donnas, they split up because
Yeah,
they were a bunch of girls that were punkish back in the day,
yeah.
but they had their drummer learned to play herself, so she never learned how to hold the drumsticks properly. She hold them like this, like
Oh, so she was a basher.
yeah, and so she had
Yeah,
carpal tunnel so bad,
yeah,
and they end up bringing in a new drummer. And then shortly after that, they kind of retired because they all had
yeah,
families and kids and stuff.
yeah.
But she was mid-30s probably or late
Wow,
30s and had to retire because
wow.
that's crazy.
But she didn't want to take a lesson or two.
Well, it's because she was just self-taught and it's just
Yeah,
they kept touring and they kept
yeah.
playing and never had doubt.
Well, and she was probably like, I'm fine, I'm fine, I'm fine, I'm fine, I'm fine. And then one day you're
You're not. Well, it's like,
one day you're not.
I people ask me why I don't play bass anymore. I was like, well, one is I have no feeling in these two fingers.
Oh,
And
neck,
it's
neck
I
injury?
have that nerve cluster right there.
Oh, right
I've,
there.
I've damaged it too many times.
Yeah.
Um, it's bad because it was they thought it was from a back injury, and so they wrote it off for years and years and years and years.
But it was
Yeah,
here.
finally I get this electro things where they stick
Yeah,
wires in and
yeah,
everything, and they're shooting this side of my hand full of electric, and my hand's just sitting there.
yeah.
And they're like, "Can you feel that?" I'm like, "No."
No.
And then they stick it in this side,
Yeah.
and they stick it right here in the little part of your thumb right there.
Ah.
And she didn't turn it down because you had it
Oh
turned way up
no.
for this. Oh, really? My watch tells me it found it on the web.
Oh shoot. Oh my God, we've been blabbing for a long time.
Yeah. Um,
I like you,
thank you.
man.
You're
This
awesome.
is cool.
We're we're
What,
we're, we're,
just
we're
hanging out.
hell yeah. We can do this, and we can kind of wrap this one up here before, and then maybe
Yeah,
we can get Hawk on the next episode, and we can do
yeah.
this again.
That would
Or
be badass.
oh yeah,
Maybe
or
my buddy Jason Moser can join. We
oh
can,
yeah, we have a big
he's a guitar player from Splinter Throne. We could have like
oh
the
yeah,
whole,
yeah, definitely. If you want to
yeah,
get, so you can come on. You can come on at 3 different times. It's 3 different bands. You
that's
can
it.
you can
Ooh,
White
I'll
Crone.
have
You
to
come
start
in
a
as
new
the
band.
Lisa Mann
Shit.
band, and you can come in as Splinter Throne, and we can talk 3 different things.
That's it.
But yeah, she put the electric in there, turned it on, and I almost smacked her in the face because my arm
Yeah.
came up off the table, and I felt horrible. And I'm like, oh,
Oh,
I'm sorry. And she's like, it's my fault. I should have turned it down. So,
dang.
and that's when they found out that all my relays and all my nerve gets bottlenecked here.
Yeah.
And it's from smashing my funny bone too many times and working in factories.
Oh,
Now,
wow,
if I
man. That
play,
sucks.
I can kind of only use
Yeah.
that.
You know
So
what? Depends on what style of music you want to
I
play.
keep rhythm. I
There
I
you
I
go.
keep
You can keep rhythm. You can play some rock and roll. Yeah, you can play some. You know what? I'll tell you what. There was a jazz bass player, played a 7-string bass. His name's Jake Cott, K-O-T. He lost the feeling in these two fingers for like a couple of years. And I saw him playing this fusion gig with two fingers. He was all over that neck. So don't give up.
yeah,
He
it's
didn't give up.
I still fiddle with it. I
You can do it.
I did see last year we went and seen a band, and the opening band was Static Age, I think is what it was called. Their bass player had Aerodactyly. So
Oh
he
yeah,
so he had the claw
the
hand.
pinch. Yeah,
Yeah. So he was that he would put his pick and he would just and he played bass with just
yeah,
like that. And I'm like,
yeah.
that's crazy. I had to talk to him for like an hour after
That's
the show.
great. Yeah, don't give up, man.
So, all
If
right.
you enjoy it.
Oh yeah. So
Yeah.
I don't want to keep you too much longer. Sorry. I just really
No, it's great. I'm like, whoa, shit, what time is it?
like an hour and 15
It's
minutes.
cool.
Um, so we're gonna go ahead and we'll get it towards the end here. So I'm gonna ask you, you said you're on tour. Where are you touring at currently? Where are you gonna be
Oh,
at?
where I'm not on tour right now, but I will be touring
Yeah.
my blues band. We will be, let's see, I don't even remember. It's all a blur. We're gonna be at the end of May. Actually at the yes, let's see, at the end of May, we're gonna be at XPK in Des Moines, Iowa on May 30th. We're going to be at the Red Rooster in Madison, May 31st. Smoking in Steel Festival, Owatonna, Minnesota on June 1st. And Shaw's Bar and Grill in Minnesota, in Minneapolis on Sunday the 2nd. And let's see, where else am I going to be? I'm going to be in Libby, Montana on August 9th with Hurricane Ruth. Oh my God, she's cool. She used to be a metal singer too, and now she's a blues singer. We're going to be in Walla Walla on August 10th. Let's see, gosh. And then in September, I'm going to be at McLove. It sounds like make love. McLove Terre de Blues Festival in France, near Metz, France on September 7th. So that's my blues stuff. We got some Splintered Throne dates coming up. Gosh, when am I doing another Splintered Throne gig? We don't have a whole lot going on right now. We're actually we're writing right now. We're going to we're writing a new album. We've got a couple of songs that are just, ooh, they're so juicy, man. Kind of thrash influence, a little melodic Dio kind of influence. And that's kind of what we're focused on, is writing some new tunes. And then in the White Crone project, still working on that, you know. I just sent him a bass track because I track some bass at home, send it to the studio engineer, Kevin, over at Opal Studio. And we're piecing these songs together bit by bit. It's like little Frankenstein.
Got it. Build it.
Add a
Build
neck
it.
here.
Where can people find you online at?
Online, lisamannmusic.com. That's for my blues. White Crone, CRONE, .com. Splinteredthrone.com. You can find all of that on Bandcamp. All that stuff is on Bandcamp. Really appreciate the support. Buy a CD, buy a t-shirt. Actually, Splintered Throne has some really badass t-shirts. So check out the t-shirts at splinteredthrone.bandcamp.com.
Cool. And you need to go on a tour with, since you're White Crone, you need to get White Mother and White Maiden. So you
There
need
we
the maiden, the
go.
mother, and the
Well, I'll
crone.
just, yeah, Maiden, Mother, and Crone.
Yes. Uh, well, this has been a blast,
Yes,
and
it has.
I can't wait to talk to you again because
I
I've
know.
still got a billion more questions because you because I kind of have to wrap it up because if not, we would be here till like 10 o'clock at night, and I'd
Yeah.
still be talking and asking you
Yeah.
questions.
And I got to go make a sandwich.
And I gotta go make dinner here soon. I'm gonna go make
Yeah.
spaghetti. So,
All right,
well,
man.
you have a good night. And before I leave you, is it all right if I use one of your songs as an outro for this episode?
Please do.
This will drop next Thursday. You'll be the first one back since we took a little hiatus. You'll be the
Yeah,
first one back for next Thursday.
right on.
So, and then like I said again, we'll get with you, and maybe we'll get Hawk on the next one, and like I said, get
Cool.
your other band members, and we'll have a bigger episode and talk more music.
Be
So
like the Brady Bunch.
you gotta get the so. Thank you
All
so
right,
very
man.
much, and
Thanks. Enjoy your biscotti.
yeah, thank you. And I'll message you some more. I got some more, boxing more. So you take care, and I will talk to you again
All right,
soon.
man. All right.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.